Today, we're looking at a deeply unsettling case where a victim's own terrifying foresight combined with some incredibly methodical detective work essentially solved a crime from beyond the grave. It's a dark, but absolutely fascinating look at how digital footprints and physical evidence eventually catch up with a killer. Hearing the sheer panic in the transcript of this 911 call plunges us right into a devastating scene that completely left a local community reeling. Imagine, it's shortly after 9 p.m. Michelle Long's mother had grown frantic because Michelle never showed up to pick up her son. This prompted Michelle's sister and her boyfriend to rush over to her house. And sadly, what they found waiting for them was a total nightmare.
Section 1. A gruesome discovery.
So, when deputies pull up, they find Michelle slumped over in her truck. And there is a stark, very unsettling contrast here between the brutal overkill of the crime and the absolute lack of physical evidence left behind. The truck was literally still idling in reverse, with the headlights glaring, and the driver's side window was completely blown out. Michelle had suffered 5 gunshot wounds, including to the head, obviously a highly personal attack. But here's the crazy part. Despite searching that area for hours, police could not find a single bullet casing on the ground. Nothing.
Section 2. A bitter divorce.
Now, to understand the why here, investigators had to look at a very crucial number: $100,000. That's a massive divorce settlement payout that a judge ordered Michelle's ex-husband Bill Long to pay her. And Bill, well, he was absolutely furious about it. He fiercely contested the ruling, flat out refused to pay the settlement, and out of pure vindictiveness, he even stopped making the house payments.
We're talking about a 20-year marriage here that had just completely deteriorated into a deeply toxic relationship. Things took an exceptionally dark turn after the tragic loss of their oldest son Jacob to suicide back in 2016. Family members noted that Bill's behavior didn't just change after that, it intensified. He would constantly belittle Michelle, calling her stupid, intentionally making her cry. It really establishes a very clear, potent, financial and emotional motive for Bill to want Michelle out of the picture.
Section 3. The secret recording.
You know, police didn't even have to rely on family rumors or financial records to prove this animosity. They actually had evidence straight from Michelle herself. She had secretly used her cell phone to record Bill while he was aggressively berating her after a dinner during their divorce proceedings. In the audio, Bill goes on a rant about refusing to pay alimony before openly stating, and I quote, "I will kill you. I guarantee I will." Just absolutely chilling.
Michelle absolutely knew the extreme danger she was in. She was meticulously leaving a trail of evidence behind. She confided in her coworkers that Bill had actually held a gun to her head previously. She wrote out these handwritten letters detailing his violent threats and left them with her attorneys. She was systematically building a terrifying profile of her killer, practically begging the world to hold him accountable if the worst were to ever happen.
Section 4. Dismantling the alibi.
Now, despite his documented history of threats, Bill had a story all ready to go. He claimed he was just screwing around in his dad's garage all afternoon and maybe briefly ran home to grab something. But reality told a totally different story. His girlfriend's daughter was home all afternoon and swore up and down that Bill was never there. Meanwhile, his girlfriend, Leanne, was calling him and he wasn't answering at all. This is where the investigation quickly establishes what we call a golden hour, and the timeline is incredibly tight. Let's break it down. At 5 p.m., Bill's son confirms Bill left the garage. Just 8 minutes later, at 5:08, a friend actually talks to Bill on the phone and physically spots him driving his blue Chevy truck. At 5:17 p.m., a business security camera catches that exact blue truck heading north, straight toward Michelle's house. And then at 5:45 p.m., a neighbor hears 2 loud booms. And his digital footprint completely traps him on the return trip, too. At 5:54 and 5:58 p.m., Leanne is calling him, right? But he's not answering, likely because he's fleeing the scene. He finally calls her back at 6:12 p.m., casually claiming he's in the garage. But just 3 minutes later, at 6:15, cameras capture his blue Chevy heading south, proving he was actually still on the road making his way back from Michelle's. This timeline completely destroys his alibi. Okay, so the digital timeline is locked in, but investigators still had a massive problem: 0 bullet casings and no murder weapon. Now, Bill had a massive firearm collection, but conspicuously, his .44 Magnum revolver was missing. So investigators do something brilliant. They restage the entire crime scene. They meticulously sweep the area with a metal detector, and amazingly, they locate a single spent bullet projectile all the way across the street from Michelle's house. And sure enough, Ballistics confirmed it was fired from a .44 Magnum revolver, the exact type of gun Bill claimed he had previously sold. If you ever wondered whether this was just a crime of passion or something heavily premeditated, take a look at this newly uncovered statement. A friend came forward and told police that months before the murder, Bill was complaining bitterly about the alimony, and he flat out said, "If I don't get my way in court, I'm just going to shoot her and let the county and the state take care of me." This proved that Bill didn't just snap in a momentary fit of rage. This was a cold, calculated execution over money.
Section 5. Justice for Michelle.
So after gathering all of this irrefutable proof, the timelines, the video footage, the ballistics, and Michelle's own terrifying warnings, the justice system finally caught up to Bill. He was arrested in May of 2024, and his trial took place in February of 2026. Bill actually took the stand to proclaim his innocence, but the jury, they saw right through his lies. After 6 days of testimony, they found him guilty of aggravated murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 14 to 17 consecutive years for the firearm charges, ensuring he is never, ever going to walk free again.
At his sentencing, Judge Megan Bickerton delivered these really heavy final words. They perfectly encapsulate the irreplaceable human loss at the center of all this methodical police work. For all the fascinating timelines and digital forensics we've explored today, a family still lost a mother, a daughter, and a sister to a completely senseless act of greed and anger.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final thought. Michelle Long was incredibly brave. She meticulously documented her abuse, essentially serving as the lead detective on her own case before her life was stolen. But it really forces us to ask, how many other victims out there are leaving behind a trail of evidence right now, just waiting to be heard? It is a stark, urgent reminder of the tragic reality of domestic violence and the absolute vital importance of listening to victims before it's too late. Thanks so much for joining me to unpack this case.